Hello and welcome to the Perth Blue Baggers pod. My name is Louis, your host.
And I'm Marty on special comments.
So today we'll be reviewing our great win against North Melbourne on Good Friday, and we will be previewing our next match against Geelong on next Sunday in round 7. So first we better get into how good of a game that was. What truly was a good Friday.
Well, this was a really dominant performance. Clearly our most dominant performance for the year. We've only won 2 matches, mind you, but this was a better Carlton than last week. I thought, again, a weak opponent. You're talking probably the 2 weakest teams in the comp, but North were a better team than West Coast, and we were better. We were much better. We got 24 goals, 9. So a lot more efficient going forward.
Yep. So improvement in goal accuracy there. Yeah.
But we really set the scene with 7 goals, 2 in the first quarter. So it was a really dominant quarter. Clearly our second quarter was disappointing when they kicked 4 goals to 2. But our second half, we've talked multiple times about how poor our second halves have been. We kicked 6 goals in the third quarter to 1. And then we kicked 9 goals in the fourth quarter. Really dominated there. So
really emphatic.
Very emphatic.
Yeah.
So I think we got stronger as the game went on. Our forward line got more and more efficient. We were linking up in ways that we hadn't done all year.
Yeah.
Now, North probably has the worst defence in the competition, which, you've got to be honest about. But you're going to
West Coast.
Probably worse than West Coast.
Yeah.
But you're going to beat the guys that you're playing against. And I just thought that we were we were back in business. And I'm hoping that we've got the confidence to go forward with that type of form.
Yeah. Overall, hopefully we get a great confidence boost in that, and it was good to see no fade outs, as we've been saying lately. Do you want to go into any sort of stats between the 2 teams to really highlight
I did have some stats that I thought were really interesting. Firstly, some of the stats like disposals and that were relatively similar, but to get a better understanding, we were at 64 to 39 inside 50s. That really does speak to how many opportunities we were creating. Our intensity was really strong. We had 15 to 5 marks inside 50.
Yeah.
12 to 4 contested marks. But the tackles, often when you win more possessions, you don't have as many tackles. 83 to 56 tackles. 23 to 8 tackles inside 50.
Yeah.
Right? So that speaks to the intensity and the pressure that we put on our opponents. So, to get 23 to 8, with almost 3 to 1, practically 3 to 1 tackles inside 50, which I think really talks to when we play our best footy, then the forward pressure that we're putting on is really significant.
Yeah.
This was clearly our best forward performance. And we got it from the talls like Charlie, and we got it from the smalls like Motlop, Will White and others, and Fogg and others. They just came to play. Yeah. Durden was great.
Pressure acts was up from all of them too.
Yeah. So I think that went a long way. And our defence was pretty solid. We'll talk a bit more about them, but Wettering and Silvani again had great games. There's a lot to like.
Yeah. Very much so. Do you want to go into the your 5-4-3-2-1 votes?
Well, I've got a few kind of interesting ones. So you might have some different ones. Look, best on ground I think was pretty obvious. Yeah. George Hewitt was just fantastic. He won the medal on the day. I'm not sure what medal it was. But
Super Clash medal, I think.
Something, yeah. I never heard of that medal before. Yeah. But anyway, he was the best on ground. It was a real full quarter performance. Most touches on the ground at 34. Backing up from last week. I mean, he is having a great season. He'd have to be leading our best and fairest. Most clearances, 12. The next highest after his 12 clearances on the ground was 6. That's how dominant he was. Oh, look, I have to
North Melbourne or player?
I'll just bring that up for you.
TDK was at 5.
So there's a few. Simpkins, Sheasel and Parker for North Melbourne. Yeah. But that's half of what he had.
Yeah.
He was really quite dominant. Much better performer than just anyone else. He also had the equal most tackles for Carlton. So,
Yeah.
this is a guy who's won a lot of ball, set up a lot of goals. He was in 2 goal assists and kicked another goal himself, and still finds time to equal most tackles for our club. That's a pretty dominant 5 in my view. 4, look, this one's probably just a bit of personal preference here. Jesse Motlop was sensational.
Yeah.
He was everywhere. His pressure that he was putting on, I talked about how we win when we put our opponents under pressure. He was putting his opponents under pressure all the time.
And he got some reward.
Well, he had, as a forward, he had 9 tackles.
Yeah.
I talked about that 23-8. Now, he did play some time in the midfield, but for 9 tackles. So he kicks 3 goals straight. We wanted him to be more accurate. He kicks 3 goals straight.
Yeah.
And he has 9 tackles, and he was up and about all the time. It's kind of funny because the 13 disposals he had, I think that doesn't speak to the influence he had on the ground.
Yeah.
He was really in everywhere. And I think I could have picked some of his other teammates up forward, but I think he was the one that was the most dominant. I really liked Adam Chera's game. That's why I've given him 3. I thought he was fantastic.
Yep.
He was in everything, 28 touches. So he was our second highest ball winner. But he had 4 tackles as well. 5 clearances was our second highest clearances. He had the most metres gained, 555 on the field. He was in a number of goals. He was the equal highest goal. He was everywhere. So happy to give him 2 goals.
Yeah.
3 points. 3 got 3. Jacob Wiedering, I really liked his game.
Yeah.
He was on Lucky, and Lucky is a dangerous forward. And Lucky got 1 goal off a free kick all day.
Yeah.
And I think, again, Wiedering was fantastic. If you look at, crucial statistics for him, he's equal most intercept possessions on the ground with Jack Savani and Mitch McGovern.
13 disposals, 7 marks, 7 intercepts, and 4 rebound 50s.
I mean, he's a dominant player.
Yeah.
And, he's had another consistent. If there's any guy who's close to George Hewitt on the best of heroes, it'd be Wiedering.
Yeah.
So 2 votes to Wiedering. The other bloke, I don't think he's had the best season so far, but I think he's starting to warm up, and that's our mate Charlie.
Yeah.
4 goals, 3. He could have had a few more, but 4 goals is a pretty good return. Yes. 11 score involvements.
Nice, and so, that's not. Yeah, so he's impacted it. That's minus the 3 points he got or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's still got quite a few score involvements from not his own goal kicking.
Well, he's got the most score involvements on the ground.
Yeah.
So, he's not just kicking goals himself. So the most goals on the ground, most score involvements on the ground. So credit where it's due. I thought he had a pretty good game.
Yep.
And presented well. And when he gets everything together in a game, he's going to kick those 6 or 7 goals.
Yeah.
He wasn't far off at this time. For my underrated player, I just thought, for a guy who hasn't played a lot of footy, Will White was great.
Yeah.
Really great young player. I mean, this is a bit of a fairy tale story. Didn't he go for
Yep.
Carlton when he
Childhood club?
Childhood club. For him to slot 3 goals was really impressive. Another guy, a lot of pressure, 5 tackles.
Yeah.
As a forward, he was fantastic. So he's getting my underrated. Let's hope that they stick with him because I think there's a real find there.
Yep. I think I have pretty much the same 5. So George Hewitt, 5 votes. That's undisputed. I've put Chera at 4 just because he was pretty dominant in the midfield. Zach Williams up higher because of his 4 goals with 3. Charlie Curnow with 4 goals and 11 score involvements. Now that I think about it, those 2 pros who swapped around. And then Jesse Motlop with the 1 vote.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So
it just depends. But my underrated is Jack Silvani. I think we've probably done him a few times. Yeah, he kept Jack Darling quiet. Also made an impact with 18 disposals, 7 marks, 7 intercepts, and 427 metres gained. And then overall impact, which is good to see, was Zach Williams, Jesse Motlop, and Will White and Corey Durden all impacting. Probably the biggest, like we've been saying, press racks and tackles. So Zach Williams had 4 tackles. Jesse Motlop had 9 tackles, 3 of which were inside 50. Will White had 5 tackles. Corey Durden had 5 tackles as well. The pressure acts, Zach Williams had 12 pressure acts. Jesse Motlop had 29. That's substantial.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
29 pressure acts.
Yeah. That's something you normally see from probably like Chera. But here, that's what we want to see from our small forwards. Will White, 18 pressure acts, pretty good as well. And Corey Durden, a solid 13 pressure acts.
And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Probably the biggest change. Yeah.
That's
from this game, from last game, and the game before. It's just...
I've not
seems like a bit of a change in attitude, maybe.
I've not seen our small forwards in particular dominate and really impose themselves in a game this year.
Yeah.
Certainly have not. And all those guys that we mentioned, I mean, I should have mentioned Zach Williams. He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. So you're talking Zach Williams, Jesse Motlop, Corey Durden, Will White. I think Fogg did a few good things too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good collection of players that are making a massive difference.
Yeah, so good to see.
Yeah, well, that's why we end up running away with the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't just explain the win; it explains why we won by so much. They were under pressure every time they picked up the footy in the back line.
Yeah. So, would you say is it more towards how we played is why we won, or because North Melbourne was so bad?
Well, that's a bit of an impossible question to answer, really. I mean, I think we'll find out a lot about how well our team's playing this weekend. I mean, we've had 2 really good wins, particularly this one. I thought it's better than the last one.
Yeah.
But it was against, probably the 17th best team.
Well, that's a good segue into a preview of round 7 versus the Geelong Cats.
Oh, look, this is going to be a really tough match for us.
Yeah.
We've said repeatedly about how this is going to tell us about how we're going. Mm-hmm. And I think if you look about where Geelong is, they're in top 8 team. They're coming 6th at the moment. They've come off wins against Hawthorn, which beat us. They've beaten Adelaide in Adelaide. They beat Melbourne. I don't really rate Melbourne this season, but I think they're a really quality team. They're pretty strong everywhere. So they've got a great midfield, but if you think about their backs and forwards, their forwards are really dynamic, led by Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah.
Really hard to hold down, and the backs have just got consistent quality backs. So I think they'll be tough, but I think that's what we need. We've probably ran ourselves back into form. With some really solid wins against poorer opponents, and it's time for us to step up.
Yeah, it would be a good time to make a statement.
Well, to give you some idea, I think they're $8 to win the premiership, and we're $26.
That's anything to go by, yeah.
And I think they're raging favourites.
Unfortunately, Collingwood would probably be
raging favourites. We don't need to talk about odds, and I'm not that interested in them. But let me just tell you that we're rank outsiders. But I think we've said this all season. If we're playing our best footy, we can beat anyone. And I really believe we're back to playing some really quality footy. It hasn't been tested yet against the good teams, but we bring that pressure that we showed on the weekend to the next game. We'll win,
which isn't too hard to do. It's
the
least you can do, really. Bring that pressure and tackle.
The other thing that we've been criticised about our inability to move the ball quickly and efficiently. Yeah. And again, we move the ball quickly and efficiently. Yeah. So there's a couple of good signs there. To kick 24 goals is pretty. I think it's pretty rare for us to kick that many 150 points, isn't it?
Do you want to do some sort of comparison between the two teams and stats-wise this season? Because we're getting into, been 6 weeks, so it's a good sort of
you reckon
overview. I think the stats
body of work to get
team stats.
So we'll just I'll give you some example. So just think about they're not that different. I mean, if you look at where we are on the ladder, right, we're down towards the bottom because we've lost a lot of close games. But our percentage, if you go to actual percentage...
It's the sixth best, I think.
Yeah. So I'm going to go this one. Sorry, we're just bringing up our details here.
Yeah.
But Geelong's percentage is good,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not that far off. So Geelong's percentage is 127, right? Ours is 122.
Yeah.
Yeah, although it's early in the season, we did have 2 big wins against West Coast and North Melbourne, which camouflage our percentage. But it does show, all of our 4 losses were close.
Our best 4-quarter performance last year was probably against Geelong in that Culture and Respects game.
Yeah.
I think that was off the back of quality pressure that we applied. From memory.
Our actual recent encounters have been pretty good. So last year, we won by 63 points in our second game.
Yeah.
They did beat us by 30 in the first. We also won. So we won 2 of our last 3, I think, most of it. Yeah. So we're a bit... I think that... don't worry too much about the ladder. I think that some of the stats, we've got more clearances per game than they have.
Which is a strong point of ours.
Strong point of ours.
How's tackles going?
Let's bring that one up. 69 to 68.
Pretty
so
equal,
very similar. Very similar.
They're a tackling side as well.
Yeah. So they're a bit more efficient in disposal. No, I'm not that surprised by that.
No.
I think that's an issue we need to get a bit better. We're actually better at contested positions than they are. They're
That's
better
a strong
at
point of
uncontested
ours.
positions.
Yeah, probably a strong point of theirs.
Yeah. So look, they're things that we know that we're good at. Where our strength is, you've got to build off your strength. So don't lose your contested ball game, but learn how to link up and move the ball efficiently and put pressure on your opponents when they have the footy.
Yep.
We do all those things. I reckon we win.
Yep. Any players we should look out for?
Oh, look, one fellow I reckon is having a bit of a resurgence, a bit of renaissance, is Paddy Dangerfield.
Oh, yeah.
He's been very good lately going forward, hasn't he? I think we want to keep him quiet.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of guys that can pop up and kick goals. Look, we don't have a really heralded backline. We mentioned Wiedering and Silvani in particular have played well this season, but we need your Mitch McGoverns and some of the others, Ollie Hollands and the like. We need Sard,
Haynes.
We need those guys really standing up.
Yeah, they need to prove themselves again. They've been well in the past 2 weeks, but this is a real test, just like it is for the overall team.
So, watch this space. I think we'll have to bet our best to beat Geelong.
Yep. And so, any changes? Did Lewis Young keep his spot? I think he was good.
I thought Lewis Young was good.
Yeah.
I thought he was, he did a bit of everything. Look, I still think, though, we're probably better when we're a bit smaller. And we were one smaller, I thought, because we lost 2 talls and we only put 1 back in, Lewis Young.
Or Elijah Holland's in.
I would recommend, whatever they do, if they're bringing back Harry in, they probably need to take out a tall. That's my view. And, it's pretty hard to not play Harry if he's 100% fit. So I would be giving Elijah another week. He needs it because, he didn't do a lot this time round, but it was his first game of footy. He's underdone a bit, I think, but he needs time. I really hope they don't drop any of those young fellas that made a really big impact. Your Will Whites in this world.
No, they'll keep the spot.
I hope those guys keep at their spots. It'd be a shame if someone like Cooper Lord's just dropped for Harry Mackay. If they're going to bring Harry Mackay in, they probably need to sit out at all.
Cooper Lord came in to the 4th quarter, kicked 2 goals.
He was good.
5 score involvements as well.
He was good. And look, I just think, you got to back some of those guys in. And I think we got the balance better this time than previously. So I would hate us to go a bit top heavy.
Yeah.
Because they'll run us off our feet. So the other thing about Jeremy Cameron worries me a little bit.
Yeah. Because
the guy's a tall, but he runs like a small. So who's running with him? Are they going to put Jack on him? So
it's a hard predicament.
Yeah. So I mean, Jack has actually played.
Yes, it's been.
He's played a tagger role before. He's played on Nat Fife when Nat Fife was playing great footy, so he can do that. I guess we'll see.
And then who plays on Danger when he comes in?
Well, then that's the thing. So you probably wouldn't play Wiedering on either of those players.
No, Wiedering would probably go. What's his name?
Blissarves, if Blissarves goes forward, or
there's a tall forward.
Are you playing Dempsey? Maybe, I don't know.
No, it's a bit small. I think.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Single is good. Max Holmes in the centre midfield.
Oh, they've got plenty. They've got plenty of good players.
Maybe it's Shannon Neal. I'm thinking about. Yeah, I think he'll play on Shannon Neal.
Look, if he plays on Shannon Neal, I think he'll be trying to be third man up at times.
Yeah.
To support his teammates.
Yeah, they play on him while he gets the intercept marks, maybe.
Yeah.
As long as he's able to keep Shannon Neal at bay too, because we don't want him to have some sort of breakout performance.
No, he's got to keep his own man quiet.
But Wieders is very experienced, and they have full confidence that he can prove himself again, as he always does. Doesn't need to prove himself, really.
No.
He's so consistent. We love consistency, and we love for the team to be consistent as well. So, just what predictions? Who's probably going to have a good game?
I reckon, like I said, I think Charlie's due.
Yeah.
Keep on saying that. And he was pretty good this week. If he kicks 5 or 6, that will help. Mm-hmm. I think I said that I was waiting for Motlop, didn't I, to explode? He's going to explode,
yeah.
And he did. So, we had a couple of good things going right this time around. I think a guy still always plays well, but didn't dominate this last round or two. He is Paddy Cripps.
Yeah.
I think
About to bring that up.
I think he'll be keen to step up and really stamp himself on this game. He loves a big game too.
Yeah.
So I'm predicting Cripper to have a big one.
I don't think he'll go down forward if we have the two tools.
No, certainly if Mackay plays as well as Kerno,
yeah,
he won't play forward.
He absolutely dominated against Geelong last time. So
you know who else absolutely dominated against Geelong last time?
Kerno?
No, TDK.
Oh yeah, TDK, STK
he
rivalry.
Was best on ground by a street last time against his brother. His brother actually rucked a bit against him. I don't think that's going to happen.
So we go up against Blissarves. Right?
Yeah, I think he'll have the better of Blissarves.
Yeah, it's quality.
Yeah. So watch that space.
It'll act as another midfielder again, hopefully.
Yeah, Reece Stanley's the other guy. He'll be rucking.
Oh yeah, Reece Stanley.
Yeah, but TDK he'll cover him up.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an intriguing contest. How much do you think we'll win or lose by? Whatever.
Look, I'm gonna go on the limb. I reckon Blues by 8 points.
Yeah, nice. It will be a close one. I hope that we can win a close one, like 4 points within a goal to get the confidence back up. It'd be great to see. Charlie Kerno explode with 5 goals. It's probably going to be a high scoring affair. Both teams pretty high scoring when we play against each other, I'd say.
Yep, I reckon it's going to be a thriller. This will be one of the matches of the round. Yes,
so look forward to that if you're a neutral supporter as well, listening in. So thank you for tuning in to this review and preview. Sorry, it's a little late. I've been very busy over Easter. So make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube and follow us on Instagram. And also keep up to date with all the latest news on Carlton Flaggers 2025. Also associated with us. Thank you for listening. Up the Baggers.
Calm the Blues.